So now we are moving to Scrum. So I would call Scrum as a house of Scrum. As I said, Scrum as a framework. It is not a process, just to make it clear. Most of us have thinking that Scrum is a process. A methodology is a process. Scrum is not a methodology. Scrum is a lightweight framework. A framework is what? Incomplete structure. The incomplete structure which will have a pathway for every player to walk to the garden and plant a flower. That is the value. You're all doing gardening outside. And you are entering the house of Scrum. There is pillars and you have to carry some values inside you as a player. There are 3 players to walk into the Scrum house. Who are the players? Scrum Master, development team. And there is a first floor that they build as safe. Safe is more of a organic way of collaboration with upper management. That is the win-win situation of safe. Let's not touch that first floor and above floors. Let us speak about the ground floor. The ground floor, we are all walking as product owner, a tag, and the developer tag, and one more person called Scrum Master tag. And these people are cross-functional. The development team is cross-functional. What does cross-functional means? Absolutely. Different competent knowledge workers. So there is no difference between a testing or a performance tester or a developer. Eventually you both are collaborating to meet what is the outcome. That's what our game plan is. So I would call this house game is more of a game. Okay. How we are mutually respecting is one value. You know what is value, right? What is value? Values are inbound or outbound. Inbound. So we have all learned value called we need to speak truth. So that's how we mutually respect. The accountability. So accountability is very key for successful journey of the Scrum. Okay. So the values, there are 5 values that it carries on each of them. I would call these 3 players should have respect, openness, focus, commitment, courage. Courage comes to speak the problem before the sprint planning. And there are ceremonies here, and in the house when they walk, there is checkpoint. I would call it checkpoint instead of ceremony. First checkpoint is sprint planning. The next checkpoint to pass the pathway of the framework is what you call daily Scrum, daily stand-up. And the next checkpoint would be review of the completed product. This incremental small stuff that you did deliver, which you will be demoing. And after that, there is one more checkpoint is where retrospective, which is called inspect and adapt, where you can have a culture of mutually telling the problems, hey, I did this and I did that, and what things can be improved. That is where the Scrum Master trying to facilitate, as a facilitator to probe your creativity. Do you all call that developers are a creative people or just the doer? Creative, highly creative. And see, in Agile, can work for the knowledge workers. Why? It treats everybody a creative people. You have something to participate, something in doing things. So this Scrum Master as a way to facilitate people in terms of getting the creativity work and getting their values work and courageously speak and don't dump them or control them. There is no control factor here. So you know how Agile disregards control and empowers the team to decision make, and there is a control which is hidden. You know which is a hidden controller here without people controlling, where the people management is gone completely. You know which is a hidden controller, which does system does the people management here. No. Anybody else? Sorry. It is one area where you kind of speak. It's a checkpoint where you kind of speak together. But there is a system. There is no man-driven that. But ultimately, man gives information for that step. That becomes a controller for you all. Till the CEO, it becomes a controller, not just the development team.
Status report, the dashboard.
Impediment. Impediment logging. There is a problem that I had in this one. Every client, normally when we go to the service-based model, right, we have a problem to rectify or implement Agile in offshore-onshore model because client has a tag or a product owner say, I'm the client. Okay? There was this retail client which I had. So the teams were like frustrated in order to log impediment on the Scrum of the product owner. Okay? She has a problem. Okay. No, you said, So this problem logging, it was a tough thing because they have a client tag. So the Agile coach has to tell, okay, it's a mutual component called impediment. Wherein this story particularly is not giving enough background. And you started your car on a map thinking that you have to go to Delhi, and in between there is no way at all. The product owner did not give you the steps to reach Delhi. What will you do? They have given you a time. In 2 weeks, you'll have to reach Delhi. Set of people are traveling. The product owner is happily sitting in America. What will you do? Will you just pray God, or you will raise an impediment on product owner, he did not show me the way? Ideally, you have to do. So for which, what value you have to use? Courage and commitment. You have to think everybody works through this values. Even the CEO will be working through these values. This is where our offshore problem is right now. We don't believe that client would engage us in that format of agility accepted while writing the POC. We have to write POC, okay, this onshore and offshore model will be working in this values format in terms of rising impediment. Right now, I have a case to tell this, most of the folks who writes POC from the pre-sales, please do engage. Okay, we will be operating with the principles and values in terms of rising impediment. There should not be difference of culture. This is a major problem that we have in terms of rising impediment on a product owner or the director who has to escalate and fix things from their side. You all agree from the offshore? Okay, so this is one thing I just wanted to bring it as a small case while traveling into Scrum. So we were talking about sprint planning as a start. So first checkpoint is how is this sprint planning. Before which we will have, there is an invisible ceremony which is in Scrum, is backlog grooming and refinement. Okay, here is where the product owner and the Scrum Master and the teams kind of collaborate in terms of finding the details and trying to make the food ready for cooking. And say for an example, before you go to cooking, you need to ensure you need to cut the vegetables. Am I right? So what happens is another problem, the product owner gives the food without even cutting. What happens? You will do cutting in the execution mode. No planning has happened. So on the third day you are still cutting. What did your stand-up say? There is no impediment. The director says no impediment. What is the progress? They are cutting the stories. Then finally say, okay, the tracker is not saying what is the progress. They are still cutting. The analysis is more. Its complexity of the requirement is high. So logically, this guy who sits with a lot of experience, he can immediately get the problem at what is lacking. They will immediately think at the competency offshore because the client would always want to power punch the vendor, not tell them, hey, you need to. He will not do consulting for you because we are consultant. So what happened? Why he is frustrated? Hey, I hired you as a consultant. You forgot you. Rather, I am consulting you. Right? So we need to know where and who is accountable for that. It is operating like our government office, where collector is sleeping and where this panchayat union and everywhere is reacting. Okay? Because if he has done enough planning, the accountability is missing from each of the layers. So finally, the people are suffering and they are reacting. The people are means the project level people. So here is where, yes, coming back to the thing. So this is one of the key measures. This backlog grooming is very important for you to engage the product owner, probe the product owner. Probing happens. What is the different type of probing that you have? Okay, probing is openness is probing, and diplomatic probing. All this is there, and hypothetical way of probing, and philosophical way of probing is also there. So no sarcasm. Okay, that gives the confidence that you will break the confidence of the product owner. So probing is very key for you. That is a different session, but yeah, probing is the key factor for you to get the answer out of it. So if you're technically, lacking the requirement during the backlog grooming, you need to say, hey, I have got a checklist for evaluating whether the requirement is ready for me to take into commitment of sprint planning. If I need to plan, I need the requirement which is already predefined very effective. Otherwise, I cannot even move into the planning session. So once it has been groomed and moved to the planning session, what is the goal of the sprint planning session? The goal of the sprint planning session is you need to create a sprint backlog and you need to have a sprint goal of the outcome of the sprint plan. So now what happens is that when we do the metrics, how much we committed, how much we delivered. What is the goal, man? Like no goal. Okay, we need to speak how much we committed, what we delivered. Whether the goal is achieved, this is where the smart culture of transactional communication comes. Okay, the people will eventually, when you kind of don't use a tone of adult. What is adult tone? Speaking with your caliber. And when you use a child tone, no, I did it, I actually forgot to do that one. I think, you're not confident, okay, then it is child. And there is one more way of answering is parenting. No, I will do it, I know to take care. You are getting into problems. Okay. So the attitude is very key for collaboration. When you do adult collaboration, I think you will get what you are and also understand, okay, what is my sprint goal? Okay, this is my goal. Because we know the sprint delivery is going to be a working software. We all spoke about working software, right? So there could be a technological challenge like the mainframe cannot achieve a working software for one particular, the 2 sprints. It can eventually give the working software after 3 sprints only. For certain technology. Yes, as I said, in Agile, we can customize our journey in accordance to mutual acceptance. It's not strict, but still we can adjust the working software with the agreement of the client. And once you start and then you don't tell them like, this is how it works. No, we kind of predefined everything. We kind of did a POC and this is how it works. We started. Okay, this sprint planning session is over. We assume there are 2 weeks of sprint. The first day, the sprint planning is done. You don't have a stand-up on the first day. And the second day, you come back. Okay, I'm going to start the work today. As a team, we'll all join. The Scrum Master should ideally stand calm. And I would say he is invisible only. But here, he will stand as a boss. Tell me. And it happens, right? Like you have to, all the developers will be trading. And again, the movie name will be Agile. Once you enter, the waterfall movie will be going on. What is this? Are you playing with me? You hired me as an Agile coach. The movie name is Agile. Hey, here we are highly knowledgeable with Agile. We all have a very good maturity. Once I enter and talk to the people, we start with the analysis, we do development, we do testing, and we deploy. And then we kind of do the acceptance testing with the client during demo. Why it is lightweight framework? Because the roles and responsibilities are very limited. You don't have 10 different roles and responsibilities. Accountability is very limited, and you don't have to report to anybody. So self-organized teams, self-managed teams, ownership, everything is relying upon. So there is no reporting in the stand-up. So each of us are exchanging the travel journey. Hey, it was a wonderful day yesterday, and happened to forget to plan. I think I'll probably start planning now. And for tomorrow, I might have a progress. It was good. Okay, but at least he's able to say planning is my impediment. The Scrum Master will say, hey, okay, he's having a planning impediment. He's not done it. And another guy says, hey, I did plan yesterday to finish off 10% of my work today, and day after tomorrow I have a vacation plan. That one day I have to go for marriage, and third day I think I will have to complete at least 30% of my work as per my plan. And fourth day I want to finish off that's my fifth day, finish off my 100% of my work, because Monday I can give it for evaluation and see if we can collaborate, what are the things we can work on. And Tuesday, I think I will join the backlog grooming and see eventually I'll plan for the next sprint, what work I can take it up and another thing. Parallelly, if there is any bug, we can negotiate with the product owner to see if we can move it to the backlog, or we still can work in this bug to finish in this sprint as a spike story. Okay? So here is the thing. So the planning happens every day. So unfortunately, we have a culture of waterfall status following. We don't do planning meeting. I ideally wanted to call every day a planning status meeting. And you tell, okay, I've completed this much. And there was a Scrum Master, I asked him, why don't you log the impediments into the system? He said, like, we have verbal conversation and sort out problems. See, there's certain things we need to have a discipline, man. First, we need to know who you're accountable with. Why you getting a client has to pay us. Everybody has to follow some systematic approach in terms of showcasing your accountability. Otherwise, you're nowhere in the system. They have spent a lot of amount in tools, deploying the tool called Jira, Rally, and all these. And they do licensing. They're worried how much the utilization is happening. And I'm not able to track the problems. So you all remember why Agile became popular. In every level, the problems are very transparent. When the problems are more transparent for the captain of the ship, what happens? He knows the weakness of the ship. He knows the positive things of the ship. He knows how I can fight the market with the existing war army. Okay? So here is a problem. We don't think from the engineering practices. So next comes after the daily scrum is what? Daily work. Sprint demo. We call it as, some people call it as show and tell and all these. The sprint demo is where you are going to showcase to the stakeholder, this is what I have completed as per my sprint goal commitment. So here comes the commitment, right? Like whatever you committed, what you delivered. So once these stakeholders are kind of saying, okay, this sprint has gone well, I think we are okay with whatever the showcasing part that you guys did. And I feel one of the story was can be done in a different way. I think that story, we don't have to move it to the production. That story, let us discuss offline to see how better we can improve that particular features functionality. So it is not the mistake of the developer. Here is where he is able to change the requirement, right? So in between the journey of piece by piece, he's able to change one requirement to whatever he feels is like the competitive for the market. So this Apple phone is beyond mass. Why? You would never even think, okay, something like that. Am I right? The finishing, the quality, way it looks, and the presentability, and the box, and everything will be cute. Where it was not in your imagination at all. So here is where the thing is that they wanted to think outside the box. So the sprint demo is where you have to, engage that stakeholder and get the corrective action, and then once they are doing a corrective action, there is a new story born, right? It is not a bug. It is a mood is a new bug story, they call it. We call it as technical debt. Okay, now the sprint is over and they go to the last door before getting into the garden of the house to plant the whatever values they did. Am I right? So last door is what? Retrospective. What do you do in retrospective? Okay. I told you this, after 10 years of marriage, like you kind of look back, oh my God, I did it, right? Likewise, you kind of crossed like all this 2 weeks journey in terms of completing whatever you did, and then see what best I can do, what are the mistakes I did, and what are the things that was not available from the infrastructure to prove in time. There could be server issues, and there could be, you didn't have a telephone for calling that day, like something happened, the infrastructure was not available for you to immediately collaborate with people, and some people did not log impediment to prove how much loss of time happened and something like that. So those things you'll be, distributing in that inspection, and then say, okay, what are the mitigation plans that we can take, or what are the alternatives that we can do for those problems, and then improve, right? So right now what happens is, we speak and have fun in that meeting. After that, when I kind of ask Scrum Master, like, is something going on in implementation? No, we had verbal conversation, we are starting out, no. We have to document that retrospective and publish to the client in terms of openly accepting the problem, how we are improving. That is where the capital ship is liking to see how openly you are improving yourself in parallel in terms of quality, efficiency, and effectiveness. Okay? So now that you reach the last door, now you're going to take a small piece of value which you made as a small flower pot, whatever, and you're going to put it and plant it. And again, you're going to next sprint door. Before entering the door, what do? You will know which door you're knocking, right? You need to be prepared. Okay, which door you're going to knock. So you need to do a preparation and readiness of yourself to understand which address I'm going to knock. Because it's a different address. It's a different story, different goal. So again, coming back, it's a home. It's a big picture of a home, which is incomplete structures, which is called a framework, and that is called Scrum. And Scrum is a lightweight framework because it has very minimal roles and responsibilities. And then comes, there are 4 ceremonies, and there is an invisible ceremony which is called backlog proving and refinement. And then finally, you have an incremental value delivered and a cross-functional teams, and all these we spoke. And any questions that you think you need to ask me? One thing you all have to know, why Scrum is very famous? Any guesses? Think outside the box. I told one thing, time is critical. And time is most important in here. It is time boxed. This is the most important characteristic of each and every sprint. So initially you say 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, it doesn't go beyond that. Any questions that anybody working in Agile project right now? Yeah. Are you happy or feeling
No,
upset?
I'm happy, but few things, right, in real time, it's not working on our body basically. So when you say raising impediments, okay, so we are not in the stage to raising impediments. The problem is the way they put a SOW,
Absolutely.
the initial agreement, right, they put us like waterfall SOW.
Yeah.
But we are working in Agile project.
Yeah.
So when we raise an impediment, they are not accepting.
So
They
you
say,
mean to say pre-sales
do what I'm
consultant?
saying. No, they are saying
Be the guy.
do what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's what.
No, you are actually right. I mean, what gives me an answer right now is, if a pre-sales consultant is well trained in Agile, he will be able to understand what ball game they're going to play. Because he's going to set expectation with the client, actually. And this delivery model has been given to you.
Okay, the problem is, since we completed this project more than 1 year, now the quality team is coming to the picture, asking so many questions or surveys.
Yeah.
Here also few more folks, the quality manager and that. So I'm not happy with that. This kind of approach. This could have been done in the initial stage. not like after 1.5 years. So can you please?
Absolutely. See, it is, okay, keeping this rational problem, I would just wanted to tell you, not every organization has been, agile mature who's been traveling happy. Okay. We have to call this as a agile maturity problem. Okay. Maturity comes, your mindset is clear, and mutual acceptance is clear, and you act adult there, not parent. When everybody become parent, because I am a QA manager, like, yeah, what do you know? I've been working here for 16 years. What do you know about this thing? Tell me. No, that's not the thing is. And you are a project manager, I manage delivery. And this is client expectation. As per POC, we have to deliver things in time. And release has to happen and all these. So we have to move away and look at the game, what game it is. Is this rugby or something we found? We committed for a rugby and we start playing volleyball as usual. What happened? So we have to philosophically understand, we have to call our partners. QA managers is another partner people, right? So you have to understand which level are you. You are in the program level. And the project level people, because of you all guys misunderstanding the game, what happens? If the captain of the ship is misunderstanding the game to be volleyball, the ideal game, whoever is practicing, they become a fool. They look at you with a fear. You understand, right? So coming back to your thing, we have to look into your ideal commitment of what we committed as mutual partners. What game has been going on right now? Why are we acting this immature? We have to stay on the program level to see we are not regular project managers, QA managers right now. We have to see we are also a kind of a coach. Because you are sharing your experience, there is a flow, water flow that is going to flow, and you are a dam. Am I right? And you need to appropriately do your actions on controlling. You shouldn't control here. How are you going to engage people to openly log impediments? And as I said, impediment is the controller here, not you. And eventually, what happens is you will lose your people management interest. You will be happily going and you will look at your mobile, what are the problems that you have? Okay, these are my priorities. As a manager, what are your priorities? Only issue management. Okay, that is my answer.
The culture and the mindset also has to change at every level. So, at the leadership level, maybe he was referring to the quality, right? So, in line with that, if you look at, there are, as you said, impediments and challenges in every project.
Yeah.
But the leadership or the client also has to be in line with us. And maybe some of them do not take the accountability and do not understand the commitment that we have made.
Right.
Maybe in a project, if you look at, we have a commitment with the client. We have agreed with the client that story point completion has to be more than 95%.
Right.
But at the project level, we don't have agreement that what is that we are delivering. At the end of the day, we need the business.
This is a good point. I forgot to tell you guys. See, when you create a why Scrum is again famous, right? And Agile is very famous. We need to create a working environment to fail quickly. So if you don't have a mindset to fail and accept, the client is not able to accept the failure of the team and how they are inspecting, why do you have to put a precondition called inspect and adapt? Just because it tells you you can fail. Okay? This maturity of talking in that negotiation level is not happening. Yes, of course, we failed.
That is what we
What's
have
the problem
to
right
try
now?
doing it.
You are right.
Because we have to proactively act. Tomorrow, client should not come back. I have given you the commitment. You have not met that. End of the day, we are not going to get the business.
In lines to that, if who failed is a question, right? That is the situation. I don't want to be. They said like efficiency is down. And when I looked at the roadmap of each and every players, I found analysis time was 30% during the execution. I said the cooking example. You start analyzing which vegetable to cut first, right? You shouldn't do that. So analysis time goes up, 30% of the week goes up, 3 days gone. And rest of the day, what will you do? You will again go till for some area and then again you restart. Why? There is no planning done at all from the program level at all. Program managers are required to evaluate the readiness of the team, of their army, whether they are able to execute. That is called maturity. So if you are not able to do your job well as a manager, what happens just by your old accountability, that the people management and the system management and communication and the weekly status, then your job is gone. Once you start thinking from the planning perspective, I would say Agile projects can successfully increase the efficiency if you do 60% planning and 40% execution. So I think in a nutshell, we all as leaders have to have fail and adapt. And you have to have courage to speak, hey, in Agile, there is a place for failing quickly and adapt. There is nothing wrong to fail. That is a beautiful Agile. If you fail in waterfall, you will be fine. In the POC, we have to say, we have to create a space for fail and adapt. So you cannot deploy, even if it is a knowledge workers, even you have experience, you need to know whether you're going to Australian ground or some other ground of work. So architecturally, you need to engage from the all levels, and you need to, as a managers, you have a key responsibility to speak from the accountability perspective on putting what are the accountability that we have, how are we going to fit this framework in terms of my accountability. Never accept a project as a project manager in a Agile project, thinking that you can manage people, you will end up with a problem.
I have a project where we could see frequent change in requirements.
Right.
Where we have tried to adopt Kanban. In one way it helps because we have dependencies with the external systems, so that moving the changes to the, like showing the value to the client, it helps.
Right.
What are the other areas where Kanban will help rather than Scrum?
When you don't want to go by time-boxed manner, Kanban will be a perfect fit, because you don't have to create a stress culture in your business as usual. Whenever you do business as usual, so when you treat it as a maintenance support project or something like that, I would say ideally you do it as a Kanban. Even if they're going to ask you as a Scrum Ban, it is a win-win situation is lesser. Kanban is more fits into a manufacturing culture, which is kind of took up place where it's more a push culture, it's a pull culture. And you don't have to think that again project management will apply. It is pull culture, again each and everybody has to empower and pull it. If somebody is not pulling the work from the other person, then it's going to stop the flow. So Kanban metrics is measuring the flow of the journey, measuring the traffic. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for the dimension.